Welcome to the third video in the series. Today we'll be looking at the application process in general and how to choose a college. If you'd like to go straight to the part about choosing a college, please click my hand. Now, when I was applying, I didn't actually know the ins and outs of what was actually involved in making an application, so I thought I'd outline some dates for your diary now. Now, the 1st of September, UCAS opens. You'll come to learn to love and loathe UCAS, but everybody has to use it for their application, whether you're international or national. Now, the 15th of October is when you should have sent off your application. If you do not do it by this date, it will ruin everything and your application will not be considered. This means you should have filled in all the UCAS application forms, filled in your personal statement, and gotten a letter of recommendation from your school. Now, the 15th is also the deadline in which you should have arranged to do your admissions test for the next month. This deadline is for all of them, whether you're doing the BMAT, the ELAT, the HAT, the PAT, or the TSIP. Now, for information on where to find the information about the course information, please do go see last week's video, which covers all of that in glorious detail. The person in charge of exams at your school should organise your admissions test for you, but do give them a poke to make sure that they have done it, because if you don't do the admissions test, it will kind of ruin your application. Also, if your school doesn't facilitate the examination test, or you're not actually at a centre anymore, you can arrange to do the exam elsewhere. Details for doing so are on the admissions test website, which I will put a link down there for you. Now, early November is when you have to do the admissions test, and then December is when the interviews take place. And by mid-January you should have received a letter or a phone call, and with that you should have hopefully received an offer. Then all you need to do is get the grades, and then in August you'll find the results, and woo! So that's it, that's all you have to do to get into Oxford. Yeah, easier said than done, isn't it? So the three main parts of the application process are the personal statement, the admissions test, and the interview process. In fact, these are so important that I've given them individual videos which will be coming up later in the series. Now, I'd also like to point out that the Oxford application process is not a hurdle system. If you have an outstanding personal statement but don't do very well on the admissions test, you still can get an interview, and that also applies to any other combinations of failures and successes across the process. Now, Oxford's official website does cover everything I've said here in more depth and does it quite neatly as well, so I do suggest you pop over there at some point. Again, the info is in the link. Now that's all done, let's get on to how to choose a college. When I was applying, I naively said to the admissions person that I would like to apply to Oxford. She replied by telling me, well, what college do you want to apply to? I said, Oxford College, please. Now, Oxford is made up of over 30 colleges and some permanent private halls, or PPHs. Now, the college that you pick to a great extent will be where you will live, where you will study, and where you will socialise at a local level. But you will still have the freedom to do things at a university level. For instance, there are college sports clubs and there are also university sports clubs. Also, when you start to specialise, you'll be branching out to loads of different colleges for your tutorials, so you won't be stuck in one place for your studies, which is brilliant. But to summarise, the college is the immediate community you will find yourself in, and on a university level, it's the interaction between all those different communities. Now, does it matter which college you pick? The answer to that is yes and no. Yes, if you have specific criteria for where you want to live. For instance, if you want a 24-hour library, or you want to have really good food, or you want it to be centrally located, then yes, it does matter in that respect. Also, some people think certain colleges have some qualities that are either desirable or undesirable, but I don't really want to explore them because they are stereotypes and I'm not particularly a fan of stereotypes. If you would like to get a feel for what these qualities perhaps might be, then I do suggest you go to the student room and find a discussion on those colleges, and you'll just get a feel for what kind of vibes each college gives off. All the lighting's changed. And also from an academic perspective, it doesn't really matter which college you pick. Some people might argue with this point by pointing to the Norrington tables. Now, the Norrington tables is a list of all of the colleges, and it ranks the percentage of people that get first in their finals for each college. Though that is a way of discriminating which colleges might be academically better than the other, across the 30 colleges there's only a range of 15%, so whichever college you go to, you're going to get an amazing education. Now, you can also choose to not actually pick a college at all, and that is called making an open application. This will result in your application being randomly assigned to whichever college just happens to be selected. Either method of allocation for your application will not make a difference to the likelihood of you getting an offer, so don't try and play the game, like I mentioned in the previous video. Now, Oxford's official website explains this really well, so again, the link is in the info for you to head off there at some point. I'd also like to say that if you ask anyone which college is the best one in Oxford, 99% of the time the person will reply by saying their college is the best. You will grow to love wherever you end up, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. To help you decide, I thought I'd share with you how I picked my college, Magdalen, not Magdalen, which is a mistake I once made. So again, I'd like to bring you back to the Oxford Prospectus, specifically the alternative prospectus. This was my Bible when I was picking which college to apply for. The prospectus contains thoughts on each of the colleges from all of the students, and it also contains a little profile breakdowns. For instance, it will tell you how much food averagely costs, how much it costs to live there, whether it has a 24-hour library or Wi-Fi, etc. It also contains tons of other things that you might find useful when considering which college to pick. Now, the criteria I used when I was narrowing down my college was it needed to have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week library, it needed to have good food, and it needed to be quite traditional looking. I actually narrowed down my choices to, written here, Corpus Christi, Merton, Exeter, and Magdalen. Now, the reason I eventually picked Magdalen was because it allowed me to stay in the college for all 3 years of my degree, and it has a deer park, and I quite like deer, so I thought that would be nice. Now, all the colleges have their own website, so do visit them for a greater insight into what each college is actually like, and also come visit the colleges. If you do have any more specific questions for the colleges, do email them. The details for that are most likely on the college's website. So that's the end of the video. I've skimmed over a few things here, so really do ask questions down in the comments and I will try and provide you with answers to those questions. Next week I will be talking about the personal statement and dedicating an entire video to it, so make sure you don't miss that one. So until next time, goodbye. Now they're deciding, oh god, I've forgotten how to talk. Since whether you want a 24/7 hour, 24/7 an hour,